Howdy ho, Maplers, and welcome to Thunderbreaker, our 24th 250. I'm gonna be entirely honest, I did not enjoy this character. It is by far the most spammy character I've gotten to 250 so far. It's everything and more that people said Iran was going to be, but ended up not being. Thunderbreaker is all of the spamming in a single class. It's pretty ridiculous. For the gear, it's pretty much the same stuff I always use. My Meso Obtain accessories. If you're going to be killing lots of monsters, might as well be getting Mesa while you do it. An OK cup, 15% strength belt. Nothing too substantial. This is our first strength pirate, so a little bit of the gear is kind of wonky. We are reusing some pieces, like our Royal Wanderer hat was kind of a fill-all. It has awful scrolling, but it covers all our stats. Our top and bottom are from Xenon. Boots are special for strength, and then I'm just reusing my Dex gloves, since I didn't really want to make a new set of gloves. Because spell tracing is a big ol' scam, and I have pretty bad luck at it. Secondary is pretty darn good. It's used for all of my Cygnus Knights, probably besides Blaze Wizard. Probably use a shield if I can. I don't know for sure if Blaze Wizards can. Guess we'll find out when I get there. For the inner ability, I rolled 19% drop rate. I didn't roll a single percent of Meso Obtain for quite a while, so I just stuck with it. And then we rolled a unique line of attack. Everything's okay. Ideally, you just want 20% boss for all the Cygnus Knight characters, Thunderbreaker included. 20% boss is what you want to be going for on that prime line. For the V Matrix, Thunderbreaker's relatively simple. As always, in its first spot, decent holy symbol, maxed out if you can afford it. It'll do more than its fair share of carrying, getting you to 250. EXP, drop rate, it's the complete package. I love this skill. Then of course, it's a pirate class after all. You've got decent holy symbol number 2, loaded dice, also known as 30% bonus EXP, 100% uptime, let's go. Loaded dice is so incredibly unbalanced. This skill absolutely saves pirate classes from having booty EXP rates, no matter which one it is. It's pretty much a 30% EXP buff that none of the other job branches have access to. It's a 10 out of 10. You want this ASAP. These two should be your first two. Always. Then for your boost nodes, I'll skip over one skill for now. For the boost nodes, you really only have 2. You've got 6 skills you want to have boosted: Annihilate, Thunderbolt, and Gale. And then Tidal Crash, Ascension, and Thunder. Now Tidal Crash is a bit iffy because you do use it quite often for repositioning while bossing, but you're not using it in one of your core bossing combos. You can technically use it in one of your core bossing combos, but since it forces you to move, it's not ideal. For like the safest combo you've got, realistically, Lightning Punch is the quickest thing. I'll cover this more in the bossing, but for that last slot, instead of Tidal Crash, you might want to go Lightning Punch. Just see how the class feels to you. It's kind of up in the air what the best alternate skill is for comboing with Annihilate, since Thunderbolt is quite a bit more delayed now than ever. But for the skills, the first one, and probably the one you want on the earliest because it is purely a passive and it really only benefits you, it is Lightning God's Spear Strike. Improperly named, this should be Lightning God's Trident Strike. This ain't no spear. I like and I hate this skill. It has an internal cooldown. You don't have to worry about it. It's purely passive, but you have no control over when this attacks. You have to build up stacks so that you have 8 linked skills, and then once it's off cooldown, it'll cast. You don't control that cast. It will put itself wherever the fuck it wants. On the corner of a map, hitting one mob, need to pop a lightning spear. In the middle of the map with tons of mobs, pop a lightning spear. It's so hit or miss. This skill alone is the core contributor to how wonky EXP rates in LP1 can be on this class. My lowest EXP rate average when I was fully maxed out was like 85 bill per hour. That's pretty low, but when this thing's RNG just lined up perfectly and it cast right there in the middle of the map every time, or at least more than often, I got up to like 94 bill per hour in LP1, and it's purely because of the RNG on this skill. It's a very good mobbing tool if it works. And for bossing, it's just straight up beneficial. This thing, since it's just focusing on one target usually for bossing, this is always going to hit, and it does really good damage. It's nice to have, and it helps with bursting through elites as well. I'd throw this on pretty early. Thunderbreaker doesn't really have low base damages, so your boost nodes aren't the most important things in the universe. If you're going to be training with like Ascension Thunder a lot, maybe throw those boost nodes on, since those are lower job advancement skills. They do a little less damage, but if you're just using Thunderbolt for the most part, you don't really need it boosted. Probably slap on Lightning God Spear early on. And then my favorite skill for Thunderbreaker, Lightning Cascade. Oh man, this thing actually saves Thunderbreaker quite a bit. Especially when you're using spamming as your main method of training, which unfortunately you're gonna be doing a lot if you want good EXP rates. It's really good. Think of it almost like a Night Lord's marks. You hit a mob and then boop, it pops off and strikes mobs around it. And it procs pretty often. 3-second downtime between attacks. This thing will actually pop a lot every time you cast it. I'd honestly throw this on super early if you don't need boost nodes. Like even just slap it in with your original 4. This thing helps you out a lot while you're mobbing. It'll reach mobs that are with like completely out of even Thunderbolt's range. This thing has a huge range it can just tag mobs from. And it gives you a final damage bonus to boost, so while you're bossing, this is a pseudo burst skill, as well as just giving you extra lines of damage while you're bossing. It's very, very nice to have. And then I think my least favorite skill for Thunderbreaker. Yeah, for sure. The Shark Torpedo. Like, I understand what they were going for, and it's nice for bossing. It does good damage, so you want to be using it on cooldown when you're bossing. But for mobbing, this thing is all but worthless. Like, it's got a very, very restrictive hitbox. Like, the hitbox doesn't even extend to the tip of the shark's fin. It's pretty bad. And it comes with the cost of 2 lightning charges, so you can't even use this bad boy to clear the stupid multi-stages for Dojo. You gotta build up lightning charges instead. I'm not a huge fan of Shark Torpedo, unfortunately. It's a pretty big miss. It looks really nice, but its usefulness outside of bossing isn't really there. And then the final skill, the Lightning Spear Multi-Strike. This thing I'm kinda torn on. It is somewhat useful for mobbing. It's got a very, very nice hitbox. It's effectively a 2-part attack. Your first hit, which you control, you press the key, it attacks out, and it hits a bunch of mobs. And then the second part, once you've hit those mobs, lightning will strike in 4 different places, and those will also mob. So it does benefit you to use this while mobbing, but once you get into like your best rates, using this to mob doesn't really increase your EXP per hour. It's more just for aesthetics than it is useful for mobbing. For bossing, this thing's fairly nice, but it doesn't offer a ton of burst. That's one thing that Thunderbreaker really is lacking. This class plays like a burst class, but it deals damage like a hurricane class. It has very little in the way of range inflation for burst. Even your greatest combo, which is Gale plus Lightning Spear Multi-Strike, doesn't do all that much more damage than your normal combos do. It's nice, and it does do a little bit more damage, but it's pretty far from burst. And it does have a pretty lengthy cooldown for its benefit. Not the greatest skill. Honestly, if this was a 90-second cooldown, it would feel a whole heck of a lot better in my eyes. But being at a 2-minute cooldown, it doesn't really warrant it. Like, it's not that strong as a bossing skill to warrant a 2-minute cooldown, and it's not that useful for mobbing to warrant the cooldown either. Then for your other V-Matrix skills, of course you've got True Arachnid Reflection. You get it for completing the Will storyline. Slap it on when you can. Helpful for mobbing, helpful for bossing. It's pretty darn good. Then decent Sharp Eyes. Thunderbreaker doesn't need decent speed infusion because this is a brawler class. We've got built-in speed infusion, boys. So you really only need decent sharp eyes. Bonus crit rate, bonus crit damage, super handy to have. And then character building 1. I'd almost say put this in ASAP as well. Like, this top 4 is super contentious. If you have the damage, honestly get a character building early as heck, because Thunderbreaker is going to be moving through mobs like nobody's business. Especially if you're comboing Ascension and Thunder, you are passing through so many mobs so quickly, you're going to be proccing character building almost all the time. It's really nice, and it does give you a pretty significant EXP boost over the course of an hour. And then the last 2 skills, Overdrive and Transcendent Cygnus Blessing, they're just extra burst skills. Bonus attack, then with the drawback of less attack when it's on cooldown, and then bonus damage. Damage taken goes down, and it heals you a little bit. The damage bonus stacks up to 120%, so this skill kind of works like Infinity. It's really, really good right before it ends, and it's kind of okay in the middle, but it kind of sucks at the start, so you want to prep this first. Like if you're doing dojo, use this skill 1 stage before you need the big damage. That's how I usually handled it. It worked out pretty well. It's a fairly nice skill. The heal is actually underrated. I like the heal. It saved me plenty of times doing dojo. Oh, Thunderbreaker, Thunderbreaker, Thunderbreaker. This class is aesthetic as all hell, but oh my god. It's a shame that its mobbing devolves so quickly into just outright spamming. Also, always make sure your dice is locked at 6, bonus EXP. No reason not to unless you're bossing. Then you want to lock it at 5. For 200 to 205, Eastern Cave Path, or Below the Cave. Really, either of them are fine. This is pretty much... this is one of 2 maps where you actually want to use Thunderbolt, unfortunately. They didn't quite fix Thunderbolt because animation canceling it with Title Crash is very hit or miss. It'll work occasionally, but a lot of the times it won't, and you'll just Title Crash the second you hit the ground. It feels really clunky, so honestly, just Flash Jump and Title Crash. Don't even bother. Or Flash Jump and Thunderbolt. Don't even bother trying to Title Crash animation cancel. The window for it to actually work is so small for GMS, it's pretty terrible. And the rotation is really simple. Thunderbolt's got a very high reach to it, so just Flash Jump through, attack. You'll be able to hit all the platforms, all the way to even the tallest one. Thunderbolt has a huge range to it. It's just a really slow skill. So you want to be using Lightning Cascade on cooldown here as well. Since that's just even more mobbing, it'll help you out. And sometimes you'll just Flash Jump right over the little lantern or does, so Lightning Cascade will take care of those. Realistically, you can use the combo while you're here, and while Lightning Cascade is on. The combo will stack up Lightning God Spear, which Thunderbolt unfortunately doesn't, but it's really not ideal, because Ascension doesn't hit the top unless you double cast it. It's kind of deceptive. Like, the nose of the shark is not a hitbox. It's really kind of dumb. I don't know why the hitbox isn't in line with the animation, but that's just how Thunderbreaker rolls, unfortunately. But that'll get you to 205 pretty quick, and then boy howdy, you get into T-Boy's research train and let the spamming begin. It at least eases you into the experience you're gonna have with Thunderbreaker, because this is probably the best map Thunderbreaker has for spamming. Want to see how easy this is? Boy howdy, you just spam your way across the map, turn around, spam back. It's so smooth. It's effectively 100% uptime full map clear, as long as you're burning through quickly enough. These little duders up here, you can just drop a Lucid Soul if you got her. If not, don't worry. They'll die on their own. Or you could even just do a Flash Jump Thunderbolt if you feel like the mobs are pulling too much from the map. Just jump up, bop. Your Thunderbolt will reach the top with its OP hitbox. And this will honestly get you to 215 relatively quickly. And I say relatively quickly, but I'm also going to put the caveat on, this is a lot of spamming. Because if you're just using the keys back to back, there is end delay on Thunder. What you have to do is you have to spam the keys so that Ascension animation cancels Thunder, so that you get back in the air as soon as possible and you skip the end delay, which means you're gonna be spamming these 2 keys together very quickly all of the time. It never ends. And that's your best mobbing combo unfortunately, all the way up until 250 from what I've tested. But that'll get you to 215. And then for 215, you probably saw it coming because this map is overpowered. Hidden Iliad Field. This is luckily another map where you can train with Thunderbolt, and it's not that bad. This map makes use of Thunderbolt's really large hitbox to make up for its slow attack speed because Thunderbolt can hit the top platform. Honestly, it just flash jumped through. Thunderbolt clears pretty much everything. Slap on Lightning Cascade on cooldown, and boy howdy, you can just coast your way into LP1. And honestly, enjoy these levels. These are the last levels you have where Thunderbolt is a good mobbing skill. Because from 225 until 250, I couldn't find a single map where Thunderbolt was posting better EXP rates than the combo. I really tried. Even the Celis maps were just outright worse than spamming. This is the last place where not comboing is ideal. But this map, very easy, very good EXP, and it'll take you all the way to 225 super fast. Honestly, I'd say just skip Lachlan. None of the maps felt that good for Thunderbreaker. They really didn't. Then you're 225, you're into Arcana, and oh boy, does hell begin. LP1. You guys have probably seen this rotation before. It's fairly common for Thunderbreakers. Oh, I'm gonna have nightmares about this map. My hands hurt already just thinking about it. But you just get on the bottom platform here, and you start spamming. Get to the corner, turn it around, start spamming back. And this is where the RNG starts to really set in on the Lightning God Spear. If that thing procs on a side, that sucks. If it procs in the middle, it rocks. Because it actually helps clear the map. And it's super good EXP, but it's a very inconsistent EXP, which does suck. But to make it a little more consistent, I would set Lucid Soul, and if you have it, your Will skill, up on the top in the middle. Since you're moving back and forth to each side of the map so quickly, the mobs on top that are aggro to you will be constantly walking in and out of Lucid and the Will skill's range, which means they'll be even more useful for mobbing, even though they're like 3-shotting, or Lucid's 3-shotting, Will's 1-shotting, luckily enough. And then of course, Lightning God Cascade comes off cooldown, turn it on, and then you get the juicy EXP, because Cascade will effectively clear the top of the map for you, even if Lightning God doesn't proc at the right spot. Cascade will take care of it for you. It's super good. It's unfortunately super good EXP. Like, it is very inconsistent. My lowest low was like 84 build. My highest highs were in the mid-90s. This map is unbelievably good. It's like, this was beating out all of the Celis and Espera maps at the levels that I got to those places, unfortunately. And really the only thing that was able to beat it was Moonbridge. And unfortunately, it's more spamming in Moonbridge. Even more annoying spamming in Moonbridge, let me tell you. Because there's this wonderful little thing with the Ascension Thunder combo. You will phase through platforms. Not even these little holes in between the platforms. You will phase through the solid platform itself. It is one of the most annoying classes I've ever had the displeasure of playing. And I'm still upset that this got so much better EXP than LP1, because there I didn't have to worry about phasing through the platform constantly. But for this, when you're spamming, a little bit of information on why this works. When you're spamming, you will cast Thunder lower in the Ascension animation than normal. And when that happens, it will put you inside of the platform that you're on, which means Thunder's hitbox will dip down below where it should be, and you'll be able to hit the mobs at the very bottom. What that also means is if you don't combo then back up onto the platform, which is incredibly inconsistent by the way because you're spamming so quickly, and I don't know if it's ping or what, you're not always guaranteed to get back up on the platform, so you will just phase through these platforms constantly. I'll probably be able to show it off just showing you this, but Lightning Cascade on as always, and then you just spam your way through the map. And if you're spamming enough, your Thunder will pass down into the platform, and there we go, already phasing through the floor. It'll pass down low enough to hit the mobs on the bottom, effectively meaning you're triple platting with your combo here. And spamming again, even if you go under the platform by actually falling through one of those holes, you're spamming fast enough, you might just land back up onto the platform with your next combo. And this is unfortunately amazing EXP, especially with Lightning God Cascade on. It's incredible EXP. See, there we go. We just phased through the platform before we even got to the hole. But as long as you're triple platting here, this was posting like 110 to 115 bill per hour when I was maxed out on buffs. It was by far the best map that I found for EXP, training to 250 on Thunderbreaker. And unfortunately, Thunderbreaker had to end on one of the most annoying maps I've ever had the pleasure of training on. It's like, just right there, I went right through the middle of the solid platform. Ugh, it's so annoying. There's absolutely nothing relaxing about training there, but the EXP rates are amazing. They're well worth the struggle if you can get over just how tedious it is to constantly have to get yourself back up on a platform. Oh boy, okay. I've got a lot to talk about with Thunderbreaker. This might be a long video. Alright, Thunderbreaker. It has its own unique chaining system where there is action queuing. I am pressing Ascension and then waiting, or I'll press Ascension and Thunderbolt at the same time. And they will chain. I didn't have my hands on the keyboard for the second attack at all. Thunderbreaker has action chaining. This is amazing because it allows them to actually combo smoothly and be able to use all their skills. This sucks in that you cannot use any fucking macros ever. For whatever reason, macros break the chaining. Even if it's one skill. Even if I'm just using Annihilate in a macro and I try to do the same thing, it will always use Thunderbolt. It will never use the skill that's in a macro. Oh, this is so triggering because if the macro system worked, Thunderbreaker would feel so good to train. Imagine if I could put Ascension and Thunder on a macro and press one key instead of having to spam like an ape. But unfortunately, no. Macros for attacks are just not an option for Thunderbreaker. It just doesn't work. It's super annoying. The action queuing by itself is a really amazing mechanic because it allows you to do things like keep your combo going and then see this comes off cooldown, you can prep it and then keep your combo going. I don't have any stacks because I don't have mobs to hit, but you can prep this skill while spamming your normal combo and this will go off once it comes up in the queue. It feels really, really good to use. It also feels like they have this system as a crutch because the animations are so long. The Thunderbreaker for bossing really can't play reactively. Both Ascension and Thunderbolt have insane end delays to them. Unless you cancel them with another skill, they are awful. Like here, I will hold right, use Ascension, and watch the delay. That's fucking terrible. That's on max attack speed. Like, a green pot's the only way to make this faster. That's the delay you have to deal with. It's so bad. Your only dodge tool is to title crash cancel your way out, or to use your first job skill, the zap, which I don't have on my keyboard right now. You have very, very limited options for reacting in a very reactive bossing game. Like, you see a ball dropping down to you when you're fighting Chaos Gloom. Oh, you better be able to title crash out of the way or else you're doomed. You can't flash jump at all because there's such a huge end delay. You need to be able to title crash and then flash jump. That's your only option to react. And that feels awful. The delays are pretty bad. For the bossing for Thunderbreaker, I mentioned it at the start. This class plays like a burst class, but deals damage like a hurricane class. Its damage uptime is insane. It's really, really good. It's very, very consistent. But at the cost, this class has no burst. Like, at all. Your strongest combo is Primal Bolt Gale with your Multi-Strike Spear, and that's barely more damage than just spamming Thunderbolt and Ascension, or Ascension and Gale. It's very, very minimal increases for every other skill you add on to its burst. It's very weird. Like, every skill adds on damage, but it doesn't add on much damage. So when you have everything added on, it's not that much more than having none of it on. It's something I noticed a lot in Dojo. Like, it's very, very consistent, but when I get to tougher stages and I want to burst through them, it just doesn't happen. The stages are always going to be the same speed, no matter what, with varying degrees of minimal increases to the speed. Shoot. Back to what I was saying at the start. There are two different combos for bossing. Well, there's multiple different combos. There is the standard, which is Thunderbolt and Shark. This is your highest damage output combo, but it is also the one with the most delay. As you saw, Ascension and Thunderbolt both stop you so much from moving out of the way that you have to Tidal Crash cancel. So instead, there are alternatives. Let's just put Lightning Punch on here. The fastest alternative, and the one that does the most damage it seems, is Ascension and Lightning Punch. As you see, this is insanely fast. You don't have the most damage lines, but this allows you to move a lot quicker, because Lightning Punch doesn't really have a delay to it that much. It's a pretty quick skill compared to this monstrosity. So when you're comboing these two together, it lets you reactively Tidal Crash and get yourself out quicker. It feels smooth. The other combo is just Tidal Crash with Annihilate, and this feels good, but it comes with the price of forcing you to move. Now if you're spamming Tidal Crash, you can cancel Tidal Crash's animation, but it's very inconsistent. So honestly, I wouldn't recommend this unless you get the feel for this down completely. This does do more damage, but at the price, you have to constantly be moving back and forth between the boss, and that feels pretty gosh darn awful, not gonna lie. Primarily, I just stuck to using Thunderbolt the entire time and just dealt with having to play reactively to everything, even with the added delay. Just comboing this together and then using Tidal Crash to get out of the way and Flash Jump felt better for me in the end, but maybe if you get into harder bosses where you need even more time to react to things like Lucid, Will, Gloom, Dark Knell, stuff like that, you might need the extra time to react, so you might want to boost your first job skill so that you have better reaction time at the cost of your overall damage output. And honestly, all of these struggles could be simply fixed by getting rid of some of the end delay on Annihilate and Thunderbolt. Like, I have no idea why these skills take so fucking long to end. I don't know if it's because of the action queuing for the class that this is a necessity or what, but this feels fucking bad. Who thought this would be good? This is terrible. It's so abysmally delayed at the end of everything. It just feels extremely clunky. And then even the workaround they put in, which is Tidal Crash canceling for Thunderbolt, doesn't always work. Like, it will still cast like 50%, if not more, of the time when you're trying to mob. You'll still just Tidal Crash after Thunderbolt. Even if you cast Tidal Crash in the air, it doesn't feel good. Like, I had the pleasure of playing Thunderbreaker before they added the delay to Thunderbolt, or before they fixed the delay and made it the KMS standard. Doing Monster Park with the old Thunderbolt felt really good. It was a very, very smooth and very fast skill. Doing Monster Park now, I hardly use Thunderbolt at all. I'm almost entirely comboing through because really that's much quicker now that I don't have to deal with the delay. The added delay to Thunderbolt not only made this class feel clunkier to boss with, it also made it so that Thunderbolt is almost always the worst option for mobbing as well. Like, unless Thunderbolt is triple platting like in Hidden Iliad Field, it just isn't better than spamming as a mobbing tool. And oh my god, I'm so tired of spamming on this class. It is absolutely atrocious. It is bad. It was not enjoyable. Like, up until 225, I had fun with this class, sure, because I only did minimal spamming getting up there, but once I got into LP1, there was literally no time where Thunderbolt was good as a mobbing skill anymore. Getting to Aspera, Thunderbolt still sucks. Getting to Celis, Thunderbolt still sucks. It's literally just Ascension Thunder spamming until your arms fall off. And they will fall off. My hands were hurting so bad towards the end of this class. that I had to take like 30-minute breaks in between buffs. I had to cross my arms and train with my right hand just to get through the last few levels on this class. Because unfortunately buffs are an issue for me now. I don't have enough EXP buffs to always have them, so I have to train off of buffs entirely besides just MVPs and EXP accumulation potions. Which means I had to train even longer on a class that's this spammy just to finish it. It's so bad. Like, this class is really, really beautiful, and I love the way it's supposed to work. I love the idea of it. The action queuing feels great. Having a class that combos and combos well works. But having those skills have such insane delays, probably because of the action queuing system, is misery. It's absolutely misery. Oh, I don't know, dudes. I really, really don't. Like, this class is just painful to train. Honestly, it really is. Bossing with it feels good. It does. It's got problems, like you can't play reactively. It definitely has problems for bossing, but it feels a lot better to boss with than it does to train, because training on this class is painful. It's not slow, it's actually painful. And that is not something I would recommend to people, unfortunately. Like, this class is far too spammy when you're on frenzied spawn. Maybe if you're training on Kishin spawn, or if you're not training on spawn boosters at all, you can make Thunderbolt work better, but on Frenzy spawn, I've tested pretty much every option I got. Thunderbolt is just too slow to beat spamming, and it really, really sucks. I don't know. I don't know if, like, most people don't have access to Frenzied spawn like I do all the time. Or if they do, that's very intermittent, so the spamming might not be as much of an issue. I am very hesitant to recommend anyone play Thunderbreaker with how my wrists feel after all of this, and I'm doing regular stretches and wrist exercises to alleviate these problems, and it still hurts my wrists extremely to train this class. Oh, the Thunder Duck kicks ass, and she sure kicked mine. Oh. But I'm done. I'm finally done. I'm taking a break. I'm gonna wait until Android picks up for the next streams because I need to rest my wrists. This class kicked my ass. But as always with these videos, if you have any questions about Thunderbreaker, about my grind for all classes 250, about playing Maple Story in general, ask them down in the comments below. I make it a point in all these videos to answer any and all questions you guys have, as I love talking about this game. I've played it for coming on 17 years now. Goddamn, I'm almost able to vote. But that's been Thunderbreaker. I'll see you in the next one.